Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I thought, why not just tear apart 5 of the worst movies that were from books that I read, because I feel like if I haven't read the book, I just don't know. And these aren't in any specific order, it's just whatever came to my mind when I thought, okay, I needed to have at least 5 books, and I looked on my Goodreads and saw what books I read that turned into movies that are horrible. So here's 5 in no particular order. The first one I thought of actually was Aragon. We pretend that that movie does not exist because it's so bad. I remember watching it. I think it came out when I was in 8th grade. Don't quote me on that though. It was in middle school, and I read all the books. I was very excited to see this movie come out because, I mean, young and naive, you think that they're going to stick to the book because that's what people love, and of course they're going to stick to the book. Of course they're going to stick to the book. I learned that the hard way with Aragon, and I watched it with my grandmother, and I was really excited. The beginning, well, okay, not the beginning, the first like 5-10 minutes, whatever, it was going well, it was going great, and then it just dropped off when you, well, okay, I really don't like spoiling books unless they're like 100+ years old, just my thing, so I'm not gonna say where it went bad because it is in the book. And it's like the climax of the book. So, well, okay, not the climax. Okay, like a big point in the book when things start moving. That's when it went downhill. And I don't think they chose the right actors for 95% of the characters. It just, like, especially Aragon, no. Like, I understand he's young, but you can have a young person that looks like he's been through things, and he is young, teenager, but the boyishness, like the actor, his like he still has baby cheeks, and it's like he's never farmed in his life, but like that's what Aragon does. He helps on the farm. He does hard labor. That doesn't make sense to me, and I can't buy it if he has like no calluses or he has baby cheeks, pale, there's no weathering. Like, he doesn't have a tan. If he's outside all the time helping with manual labor, whatever that is, maybe it's farming, maybe it's like putting up a barn, I don't get it. The dragon, Saphira, was actually not that horrible with the CGI, but of course it could have been better. And then the fight scenes, I didn't buy it. Jeremy Irons as Brom, I did not picture Brom to be skinny. I pictured him beefy, and I'm almost certain that's how it was in the book, or else I don't know why I pictured him beefy and muscle, and like he's a warrior. Not saying that Jeremy Irons is not a warrior, but like Brom is famous for that type of thing. And also the villain, the actor that was cast for him, didn't buy it. The second movies, because it's a trilogy, that I did not buy was the Hobbit trilogy. I have so many problems with that trilogy because the Lord of the Rings, fantastic. I read the Hobbit in middle school. I give it like 3 stars. It's pretty good. It's for kids, basically. But did you need to make 3 movies out of The Hobbit? I'm gonna say no. And why? I don't understand why you make up like a love triangle for Legolas, like, it really did piss me off because, you know what, it's not... Why are you tainting the Lord of the Rings when it, like, that's there? And then the excuse is, oh, so Legolas is, like, distant and cold and not very, like, approachable in the Lord of the Rings. And we wanted to explore why in The Hobbit, but you make it out to be a love triangle, and so, like, he can't have this elf woman because she's fallen in love with a dwarf, which she's not even in the books, okay? And that's why he's like that in the Lord of the Rings. Why? That makes no sense to me. I think you're just including a love triangle because romance sells, but this is Tolkien we're talking about. The only love thing in the Lord of the Rings is Aragorn and Arwen, and that makes sense. What happened in The Hobbit does not make sense. There was no point in that. How about Legolas is just how he is because he's an elf? Like, because all the other elves are, like, distant and cold and not very sociable unless they're with each other. You don't need to make, like, a lost love subplot for The Hobbit for Legolas to be involved. Like, you could have just added Legolas in there and I would have watched. He's my favorite character. But then you have to add in, like, this love triangle. I don't get it. Okay. That was my problem with that whole series. Unnecessary. Very unnecessary. Number 3, the Twilight Saga. Now, the books aren't that fantastic, but, you know, they're better than the movies because the actors can't act. Looking at you, Kristen Stewart. Sorry. She... like, Bella is awkward and she's clumsy, but, like, she can socialize and, like, she can speak normally and not look like she's constipated. And that's also, wait, like, Alice's boyfriend, I don't even remember that guy, the vampire's name, because I didn't like him in the books. I thought he was boring. He doesn't have full control around humans, so he always is, like, tense, which, okay, fine, that makes sense in the book, but he looks like he's about to vomit at any moment. He's like, you can be tense and not look like you're holding back projectile vomit. Or sequences of the scenes I feel like did not flow well together. Dialogue between characters was somehow awkwardly strained and it just didn't flow. The books didn't fully make sense, especially, like, the last 2. You know, her popping out a baby and all that stuff, that didn't make much sense to me, but, you know, we're gonna roll with it because I was in high school and I enjoyed it. And then, you know, when you grow up a little bit and you're like, what did that even, I don't know what happened in the last 2 books. And of course, New Moon was really annoying. They did a remake of Twilight, I wouldn't be mad. Number 4, this is a children's book that I really enjoyed when I was younger, Where the Wild Things Are. I stopped, like, halfway watching that movie because that child was a brat. What he needed was therapy, and he needed Super Nanny. That's honestly what he needed. Like, I was so annoyed by the writers and producers. It's not what I remember in the book. Like, the book is, like, it's weird, but it's positive, and I like weird and positive, but what was going on with that child? Why would you make it so negative and him be so horribly behaved? Like, I don't relate to that, and, like, I was a horribly behaved child. I don't want to have that connection to a book that doesn't have that already. You don't need to add things that aren't there, especially when it's for children. Kid needs super nanny. He needs some therapy. He needs something. His dad died or something. I don't even remember why he's acting out in that way, because it wasn't, I feel like it wasn't fully addressed and it wasn't fleshed out. It was like mentioned once or twice, and that's why he's acting out. Look, if you're gonna do all that, you really need to flesh it out, or else people like me are going to be annoyed that you just added this part in, and that's why acting out, okay, and he runs away. I don't see the point in that. So I was not happy about that movie. Now, number 5 is the 50 Shades of Grey, the first movie only, because I'm refusing to watch the other 2 movies. And I skimmed through the first book and it was atrocious. It has nothing to do with BDSM. That's not real BDSM. That's abuse. Now, if anyone says that it is real BDSM, why don't you just Wikipedia it, and then you would even know based on Wikipedia that it's not. She just pulled stuff out of her butt and be like, oh yeah, this is what the BDSM lifestyle is based on Twilight fan fiction. I mean, I'm just gonna come up with something and we're gonna go with it. Do you know how many naive people have tried to get into the community based on 50 Shades of Grey? I mean, and then they're like surprised that there's like boundaries and a lot of rules, and you have contracts and you have safe words and you have to follow those safe words. People don't get it. They're like, oh, okay, it's actually more than, you know, just what I read in 50 Shades of Grey. Yes, it is. It's a lot more. And people in the community are very much against 50 Shades, anything to do with 50 Shades, because it's not legitimate. It's false advertisement, as I say. Like, she just comes up with random stuff that she thinks is kinky, but is actually abuse. And it's been a few years, or has it been a few years, 2 years, whatever years, since the last movie came out, and things have died off a little bit, and E.L. James has moved on to like another book or whatever, and people have moved on, but you still get like a little bit of flow into the BDSM community. People saying, oh, I want to join because I watched and read 50 Shades of Grey. They're not going to take you seriously, and they're probably going to tell you you need to read a crap load of other books, non-fiction books, will you ever come back, because we don't want that in our community, because 50 Shades is abuse. And it is. And it's also... The other problem with 50 Shades is when you get to like the second and third book, you realize, well, you don't realize, you read that like he was abused as a child, so he's acting out on his trauma, and I'm like, E.L. James, get out. How dangerous that is, like, and how wrong that is as well. I would say like the majority of people in the community aren't in the community because they've been abused as children. Okay, like that's a stereotype, and it's a very dangerous stereotype, and she put it out there just like that. I'm like, yeah, it's romantic. No, it's not. No, it's not. He needs therapy. Christian Grey needs therapy, and Anastasia needs some therapy as well because of what he did to her. So there was my 5 book to movie adaptions that I absolutely hate. If you like what you just saw, please comment, like, subscribe. And if you want to get to know me and any of my other bookish opinions, all of that information is in the description box below. Thank you so much and have a great bookish day. Bye.